So worst open house. Once again, early in my career, like one of my first listings, the house itself was one of the most unattractive houses of all time. I got it through a mailing, so wasn't like I knew the person, I had no personal connection to them. And again, it was early on in my career. I just really wanted to get the listing, so I probably did some things that I probably wouldn't do now, but again, great learning experience. So I met with the people, went through everything. They had a ton of stuff on the property. They had trailers, they had horse trailers, they had trucks, they had, all sorts of mechanical parts all over the property. The garage had just burned down because they had a fire in there. So I had to learn about that process and, them going to the town, and I'm gonna have to explain all these things to people. Inside of the house I thought it was a good opportunity. It's probably good for a builder to buy and either renovate and flip it or knock it down and just build new. We had not so many comps. It was a big house, but it wasn't renovated. So from price standpoint, I probably priced it a little bit too high, but we based it off of a house that was under contract and it was a lot higher. That was at say 800. We figured, all right, it sold pretty quickly. It probably went for 775, 780 or around the listing price. So we said, okay, we'll be slightly below that at 750. I think that's a good starting price. A week into the listing, that house then closes and it closed for 650. So it closed $150,000 lower than the list price. And it had gone to contract quick. So we didn't expect that it would have been that drastic. So our prediction, my prediction was way off. And why would I predict that it would close that much lower? There's probably issues with the house. Something probably happened. Maybe there's a foundation issue or something happened and they just took the bid. Or maybe they really had to sell the house, but it completely screwed up our comps because we were basing the 750 off of an $800,000 sale. Meanwhile, it's a 650 sale, so we probably should have been priced at 650-ish. So we were $100,000 off. So the owner didn't want to hear it. And it's always, you told me this price, and I guess I did, but again, it was based off of numbers which didn't come true. Now we're in the house, we have to try and sell the house. They didn't remove anything that they were supposed to remove. When we took the pictures, there's still a ton of stuff outside, there's engines in front of the house, and it's not even something that you can Photoshop out. Color of the house wasn't great. Overall, it just wasn't a great house, but we got to try and sell it anyway. We're also priced $100,000 too high, so this was going to be not so fun to start off. The inside of the house was supposed to be cleaned out. They had a ton of clutter all over the place. They didn't clean out anything in the house. They were supposed to paint some walls and remove a bunch of stuff. They didn't do that. Now, I go to do the first open house. I show up, it's the middle of the summer. It's like 110 degrees. And I get there, owner's there, daughter's there. I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys later. They're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, you guys are gonna leave, right? They're like, no, we're just gonna hang out. And I'm like, I know we discussed, it's a little awkward when people come in to have the owner there. They don't want to ask questions. They feel a little weird walking around the house because, they might want to say things about the house that you may or may not like, but, they're not going to give us our true feedback on what the house is like. They didn't care. They were staying at the house. So I said, all right, I said, if that's what you guys want to do, then, we'll just kind of roll with it. So we're sitting at the table and it's like crickets. No one's showing up to the house. Like I said, it's 110 degrees outside. I'm sweating, I'm in my suit, and there's 3 air conditioners within probably arm's length. They did not turn on any of the air conditioners. And I feel like they almost wanted to just like punish me by 1, staying there, 2, by not putting the air conditioning on, and 3, by just telling me everything that we're doing wrong to sell the house. And meanwhile, they were supposed to clean the house out, take all the engines away. We weren't really getting a fighting chance on this one. So I sat there for an hour and a half, no one comes through. Next day, same exact thing. Now this went on for 3 weeks in a row. We didn't have a single person at the house. And obviously they were asking, why isn't anyone showing up to the house? And I said, we did go over the comps. The comp was a lot higher when we looked. and now it closed, it is a lot lower. I think, we're off on the price, and also all the stuff that's around the house. I don't think it's too appealing to people that, there's all this stuff on the property. It kind of looks like more like a junkyard rather than a house that's for sale. But, this is where we're at. We'll keep trying. We'll keep marketing the property. We'll keep doing what we got to do. Then went on to tell me what else I was doing wrong. And they were saying that the open houses weren't long enough. And I said, well, we did, usually you do a 12 to 1:30 or a 2:30 to 4. That's generally what people do. Sometimes they do 2 hours. And he said, well, you know what? We want to start doing 4-hour open houses because we don't want to miss anyone from 12 to 4. I said, point of the open house is to condense it down so that if we do get people, and even if we only get 2 people, they see each other, and then if one of them is slightly interested, in the back of their mind, they're thinking, oh, well, this other person may be interested too. Let me put a competitive bid in and, not try to lowball on the price. So there's a psychology behind it. We don't want to have it spread out. Even if we get 10 people and none of them see each other over 4 hours, they're going to think there was no one in the house, because when they come in and when they leave, they didn't see anyone else come and go. They're going to give you a lower bid on the house. They're telling me, no, other open houses that we've seen, they're 4 hours long. At that point, I'm just frustrated. I'm pulling up the open houses on Zillow and I'm saying to myself, all right, look at all the other open houses that are up today. This one's from 12 to 2, this one's from 12 to 1:30, this one's from 2 to 4, this one's from 2 to 3:30. No one else is doing 4-hour open houses. Ended up being, not only was it the worst open house that I had to do, it was by far my worst listing. In 6 months that we had the listing, 2 people came to see the property. They didn't want to drop the price. That was like 6 years ago. The house is still there. They still haven't moved. I'm not surprised, but I'm sure that, as long as I live in town, I will see that house at some point sell, and it's going to be funny to see when it does sell what it sells for. So, I think I have myself to blame, but again, it was early on in my career, and I gave them information that they kind of held me to, and it wasn't the right price. And that's one thing that I learned is, even if you don't want to say what you really mean, you have to tell them up front what you really think about the house. And a scenario like that was just kind of, I couldn't contain it. In the future, when there's things that are not done correctly, or we're supposed to clear out a house and it's not cleared out, I have to make the owner aware that it's going to affect the sale of the property, because you don't want that coming back to bite you later on. And then they come back to you and say, well, you never told me I should have done this, this, and that. So now from that listing, I did learn a lot. Tell people up front the way it is. If you know it's going to affect the price or the traffic that's coming in the house, tell them up front, because telling them later on, they don't want to hear it. And it's just going to affect the sale, and it's not going to make your life easy selling that house.